My wife packed her bags and left because of a voicemail she never finished listening to. 17 years of marriage, 2 kids, a house we built together with our own hands, literally, brick by brick, every nail driven by fingers that wore matching wedding bands. Gone in one afternoon because she heard 30 seconds of a 2-minute message. I came home from work at 5:47 p.m. on a Thursday to find the house empty. Not empty the way it gets when everyone's out running errands. Empty the way a house feels when someone has decided they're never coming back. Her clothes were gone, her toiletries, the suitcase we bought for our 10th anniversary trip to Italy. The kids, Emma, 14, and Lucas, 11, were at her mother's house. I found out later she'd picked them up early from school without telling me. There was a note on the kitchen table, written in Sarah's handwriting, but shaky, uneven, like her hands had been trembling too hard to keep the pen steady. I heard your message. Don't call me. Don't come looking for me. I trusted you with everything and you destroyed it. I hope she was worth it. My legs gave out. I dropped to the floor right there in the kitchen, the note still clutched in my hand. My chest felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed my heart until it burst. That's when I realized what had happened. The voicemail. The stupid, half-finished voicemail I'd left her that morning. She'd only heard the first 30 seconds. It started 6 weeks before that Thursday. I was planning a surprise for our 20th anniversary. We weren't quite there yet. The actual date was still 2 months away. But I wanted to do something special. Something that would remind her why we fell in love in the first place. Sarah and I met in college. She was studying nursing. I was studying architecture. We met at a party I didn't want to go to, introduced by a mutual friend who was convinced we'd hate each other. We danced for 3 hours straight. By the end of the night, I knew I was going to marry her. 20 years later, that feeling hadn't changed. The butterflies were still there, the way my heart sped up when she walked into a room, the way I'd catch myself staring at her while she read, thinking about how lucky I was. I wanted the anniversary to be perfect, so I enlisted help. Her sister Maggie was the obvious choice. Maggie was 3 years younger than Sarah, a wedding planner by profession, the kind of person who could coordinate 100 details without breaking a sweat. More importantly, she knew Sarah better than anyone except me. I want to recreate our honeymoon, I told Maggie during our first secret meeting. The beach house in Cape May where we stayed, the restaurant where I proposed, all of it. Maggie's eyes lit up. That's perfect. She talks about that trip all the time. It's her favorite memory. I know. I want to give it to her again. We started planning immediately. The beach house was still in operation. The same. Family had owned it for 30 years. I called and booked the exact room we'd stayed in as newlyweds. The owner, a woman named Dorothy Chen, remembered us. The young couple who stayed up all night watching the sunrise, she said. I've never forgotten you two. So much in love. The restaurant where I'd proposed, Bella Luna, a tiny Italian place in the Harbor District, was still there too. I called the owner, Marco Benedetti, and explained what I wanted. Anniversary surprise? He laughed warmly. I love it. We'll make it exactly like it was. Same table, same menu, same music. Everything was falling into place, but planning a surprise this elaborate required a lot of secret communication. Maggie and I met for coffee to go over details. We had whispered phone calls late at night after Sarah went to bed. We exchanged texts that I immediately deleted so Sarah wouldn't stumble across them. Looking back, I can see how bad it looked. Secret meetings with my wife's sister. Hushed conversations that stopped whenever Sarah walked into the room. Evidence I was actively hiding from her. All the ingredients of an affair, none of the substance. That Thursday morning, I decided to tell Sarah something was coming. I wasn't going to spoil the surprise, just hint that something special was in the works. Build some anticipation. Let her know I was thinking about our anniversary, even though it was still weeks away. I called her at 10:15 a.m. while she was at work. She didn't answer. Voicemail. I was nervous, excited, talking too fast. Hey babe, I need to tell you something important. I've been keeping a secret from you and I can't hide it anymore. I've been spending a lot of time with Maggie lately. We've been meeting up behind your back, and I know that sounds bad, but please just let me explain. The thing is, I've been planning something big and I needed her help because that's when my phone died. Dead battery. The screen went black mid-sentence. The message ended right there. Sarah listened to 30 seconds of her husband confessing to secret meetings with her sister. She never heard the rest. I called Sarah 47 times that evening. She didn't answer. I called Maggie, who was just as confused as I was until I explained about the voicemail. Oh my God, she said. Her voice cracked. Oh my God, David. She thinks we're having an affair. I know. I have to fix this. I'll call her. I'll explain everything. She's not answering anyone's calls. Then I'll go to her. I'll drive to Mom's house and make her listen. But Sarah wouldn't see Maggie either. She'd told their mother not to let anyone in. She'd told everyone who called that she needed space to process her husband's betrayal. Her husband's betrayal. The words made me sick. The next 3 days were the worst of my life. I couldn't eat. Every time I tried, my stomach churned and rejected it. I couldn't sleep. I lay in our bed, our empty bed, staring at the ceiling, running the words of that voicemail through my head over and over, imagining what Sarah must have felt when she heard them. I've been spending a lot of time with Maggie lately. We've been meeting up behind your back. Without context, it sounded exactly like a confession of infidelity. Without the rest of the message, the part about the anniversary, the beach house, the restaurant, it sounded like I was admitting to an affair with her sister. I sat in our empty house for 3 days, staring at pictures of our family, wondering how everything had fallen apart so fast. The town turned against me within 48 hours. Word spread the way it does in small communities. Sarah's mother told her friends told their friends. Someone posted something vague on Facebook about supporting Sarah through this difficult time, and suddenly everyone knew. Not the truth. Just the lie they assumed. Sarah's mother called me a monster. Her exact words, "I always knew there was something wrong with you. Sarah was too good for you from the start." Her best friend, Jennifer Martinez, the woman who'd been maid of honor at our wedding, sent me a text. "How could you do this to her? With her own sister? You make me sick." Someone keyed my car in the grocery store parking lot, long scratches running the entire length of the driver's side, spelling out a word I won't repeat. The whole town had tried and convicted me before I could even defend myself. I tried everything. I sent Sarah emails explaining what really happened. Detailed, desperate messages that laid out the entire anniversary plan. The beach house, the restaurant, the photo album I'd ordered with pictures from our entire marriage. She didn't respond. I drove to her mother's house and stood on the lawn, calling her name. Her mother threatened to call the police if I didn't leave. I contacted a family therapist, Dr. Rebecca Okonkwo, 15 years of experience in couples counseling, and begged her to reach out to Sarah, to act as a mediator, to help me get 5 minutes of her time so I could explain. "I can only help if both parties are willing to engage," Dr. Okonkwo said gently. "Your wife has to want to talk. Right now, she's not ready." Then what am I supposed to do? Wait and hope. On the 4th day, Maggie finally got through. She drove to their mother's house at 7 a.m. and refused to leave. She sat on the porch for 6 hours, knocking on the door every 30 minutes, calling Sarah's name. Finally, Sarah's mother opened the door. "Margaret, you need to leave. Your sister doesn't want to see you. I'm not leaving until she hears what I have to say." "You've done enough damage." "I haven't done anything." Maggie's voice cracked. "Mom, please. This is all a misunderstanding. Sarah needs to know the truth. The truth is that you and David, there is no me and David." Maggie was crying now. "He was planning an anniversary surprise. I was helping him because I'm a wedding planner, and because I love my sister. Please, Mom, please let me talk to her." Something in her voice must have broken through. Sarah came downstairs. Maggie had brought everything, the booking confirmation for the beach house, the same one we'd stayed in on our honeymoon, Dorothy Chen's signature at the bottom, the invoice for the custom photo album I'd ordered from a company called Memory Lane, 87 pages of pictures from our entire marriage, from our wedding day to last Christmas. The reservation at Bella Luna, Marco Benedetti's name on the confirmation, the same table where I'd proposed 19 years ago, and the script, 20 pages I'd written by hand, memories and promises and reasons why I would choose Sarah again every single day for the rest of my life. Maggie spread everything out on the kitchen table while Sarah stood there, arms wrapped around herself, face pale. "This is what he was planning," Maggie said. "This is why we were meeting in secret. This is why he was spending time with me. Not because we were having an affair, because he loves you so much he wanted to recreate your honeymoon." Sarah picked up the script, read the first page, then the second. Then she started to cry. Sarah called me that night at 9:47 p.m. She was sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "I didn't listen to the whole message. I just heard you talking about Maggie and meeting behind my back, and I lost my mind. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sarah, I should have trusted you. I should have let you explain. I just got so scared, David. I heard those words, and my whole world fell apart and I couldn't think straight. I'm so sorry. Where are you? Mom's house. I'm coming. I drove to her mother's house in my pajamas. I didn't even put on shoes. The gas station attendant stared at me like I'd lost my mind. I had. I'd lost my mind for 4 days straight. When Sarah opened the door, her eyes were red and swollen. Her nose was running. She looked like she'd been crying for hours. I pulled her into my arms and held her like I would never let go. Her tears soaked through my shirt, mine soaked through her hair. I would never hurt you, I whispered. Not in a million years, not for anyone. She looked up at me with red eyes and a runny nose and said, I know. I've always known. I just got so scared. I know you did. Can you forgive me? I pulled back, looked at her face. The face I'd loved for 20 years. The face I wanted to look at for 20 more. There's nothing to forgive. The weeks that followed were hard. Not because we were angry, the anger dissolved that night on her mother's porch, but because we had to repair what had been damaged. Sarah's mother had said terrible things about me. She apologized awkwardly over a dinner that felt strained and formal. Jennifer Martinez, the maid of honor who'd called me sick, sent a long text that I never responded to. Some bridges don't need rebuilding. The person who keyed. My car was never identified. The scratches cost $1,847 to repair. I paid it without complaint, just wanting to move on. We started seeing Dr. Okonkwo together, couples therapy to process what had happened and make sure it never happened again. The voicemail was a trigger, she explained during our third session, but triggers only work when there's underlying vulnerability. Sarah, what made you so quick to believe the worst about David? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. My first boyfriend cheated on me, she said finally. With my roommate. I found out the same way. A message I wasn't supposed to hear. It felt like that all over again. And David, you didn't know about this? I knew she'd been hurt before. I didn't know the details. Trauma creates patterns, Dr. Okonkwo said. Sarah's brain was primed to interpret ambiguous information in the worst possible way. It wasn't about you, David. It was about protecting herself from pain she'd experienced before. I understand that now. The question is, how do we build a relationship where that trigger doesn't have the same power? We spent 3 months answering that question, learning to communicate differently, learning to pause before reacting, learning to trust each other with the fears we'd never shared. It was the hardest work of our marriage, and the most important. We renewed our vows on our actual 20th anniversary. The beach in Cape May, the same stretch of sand where we'd watched the sunrise as newlyweds. The kids standing next to us, Emma in a blue dress, Lucas in a suit he complained about the entire drive down, and Maggie officiating. She'd gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. If I'm going to be falsely accused of having an affair, she said, I might as well earn the family drama. We laughed about it. We could finally laugh about it. The speech I gave was 22 pages by then. I'd added a section about trust and listening and never jumping to conclusions, no matter how bad something looks. 20 years ago, I stood on a beach like this one and promised to love you forever. I had no idea what that meant. I thought love was a feeling, something you fell into and stayed in as long as it lasted. I know better now. Love is a choice. It's choosing to trust when trust is hard. It's choosing to listen when listening is hard. It's choosing to believe the best about each other, even when the worst seems easier. 4 months ago, we almost lost everything because of 30 seconds of a voicemail. A dead battery. A terrible coincidence. Our marriage nearly ended over something that wasn't even real. But we're still here. We're still standing on this beach, holding hands, choosing each other. That's what love is. Not the easy days, the hard ones. The days when everything falls apart and you have to put it back together, piece by piece, because giving up isn't an option. I choose you, Sarah. Today, tomorrow. Every day until there are no more days. And I promise. Next time I leave a voicemail, I'll make sure my phone is charged. Sarah laughed through her tears. So did everyone else. We keep the original voicemail saved on my phone. Sometimes we listen to it together, late at night, curled up in bed with the lights off. Hey babe, I need to tell you something important. I've been keeping a secret from you and I can't hide it anymore. I've been spending a lot of time with Maggie lately. We've been meeting up behind your back, and I know that sounds bad, but please just let me explain. The thing is, I've been planning something big, and I needed her help because… And then silence. Dead air. The moment my phone died, and my marriage almost died with it. Sarah squeezes my hand when we get to that part. It's not funny yet, she says. No, not yet. But someday it will be. Someday. Emma asked me once why we keep that voicemail. She was old enough by then to understand what had happened. The misunderstanding, the separation, the reconciliation. We'd told both kids a simplified version when things calmed down. Why would you want to remember the worst 4 days of your life? I thought about it. Because it reminds us what we almost lost, and what we fought to keep. That seems sad. Sometimes sad things are important to remember, so you don't make the same mistakes twice. She nodded slowly. 14 going on 40. I hope I find someone who loves me the way you love Mom. My throat tightened. You will, sweetheart. Just make sure they keep their phone charged. She rolled her eyes, classic teenager, but she smiled too. It's been 2 years since that Thursday. 2 years since I came home to an empty house. 2 years since Sarah left a note that nearly broke my heart. 2 years since a dead battery almost ended everything. We're stronger now than we were before. Not because the crisis made us stronger. That's a myth people tell themselves. The crisis nearly destroyed us. What made us stronger was the work that came after. The therapy, the conversations, the daily choice to trust each other more than we did the day before. Sarah still gets anxious sometimes when I don't answer my phone. Old trauma doesn't disappear overnight. I still feel a spike of fear when I see a missed call from her. The memory of those 4 days lives in my body, not just my mind. But we talk about it now. We share our fears instead of hiding them. We choose vulnerability over protection, openness over assumptions. It's not perfect. No marriage is. But it's ours. I charge my phone to 100% before writing this. Old habits. 17 years of marriage almost ended because of 30 seconds. A voicemail she never finished listening to. A dead battery. A terrible coincidence that looked exactly like the worst thing she could imagine. But we're still here. Still choosing each other. Every single day. Maggie jokes that she should get credit for saving our marriage. I'm basically a hero, she says at family dinners. I drove 6 hours, sat on a porch for half a day and cleared your name. You owe me. What do I owe you? Naming your next kid after me. Sarah laughs. We're not having more kids. A dog then, a cat, a goldfish, something named Maggie. We got a dog 6 months ago, a golden retriever puppy. Her name is Maggie. Some people asked me if I was angry at Sarah for not trusting me, for believing the worst without evidence, for leaving before I could explain. I understand why they ask, but the answer is no. She heard a partial confession and panicked. She heard her husband admit to secret meetings with her sister and assumed the worst because her brain was wired to assume the worst. That's not betrayal. That's fear. And you don't get angry at someone for being afraid. You hold them. You reassure them. You prove through your actions that their fear was unfounded. That's what love is. The beach house in Cape May is still there. We go back every year now for our anniversary. Same room. Same view. Same sunrise over the water. Dorothy Chen still runs the place, though she's getting older. She hugs us every time we check in like we're family. The young couple who almost fell apart, she said last year, and then fell back together. That's us. You know what I've learned in 30 years of running this place? The couples who make it aren't the ones who never have problems. They're the ones who fight for each other when problems come. I looked at Sarah. She looked at me. We fight, I said, every single day. We renewed our vows on the beach. We saved the voicemail on my phone. We named our dog after the sister who saved us. And every night, before we go to sleep, I plug my phone into the charger and make sure the battery is full, because I never want to leave another message unfinished. Not to her. Not ever. 17 years of marriage almost ended over 30 seconds, but we got 20 more, and counting.